a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal and every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. Today's guest is going to light you up. You'll be motivated, you'll be challenged, and most importantly, you're going to walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and the lives of others. Audience, here's your homework. How will you serve yourself and others today? Doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. So lean in, take notes. Shout out to my two sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, and it deserves to perform like one. Want to think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer? Just text the word OPTIMIZE to 72000. Optimize to 72000 and get instant access to Welcome 6 short to Doing powerful Business videos, with a Servant's each just Heart. 3 or 5 Steve minutes Ramona, that reveal every simple episode is strategies an invitation to unlock reminder people that mental business and life performance isn't just about because when your profit, brain is it's clear, about purpose. your business grows. It's about showing up an with epic a impact, servant's the heart in every storytelling deal, system every that helps your decision, message connect every and day convert. to make a powerful It's just 4 impact on steps. others. Engage, Today's persuade, guest is going to inspire, light you up, close with you'll clarity. be motivated. I use it every day for all my and most messages. importantly, you're going to walk away with tools
Try
that
it
inspire
free
action
at
both in your
Epic
life
Impact
and the lives of
AI
others.
with code Steve.
Audience, here's your
Change
homework.
your
Messages. How will you serve
Change
yourself
your
and others
results.
today? Excited to announce Doing Business with Servant's Heart podcast was named Top 6
can change the game.
in small business
So lean
marketing.
in, take notes.
Thanks to all of
Shout out
you,
to my two sponsors,
my guest, A
and
Mind
my
for All
audience.
Seasons. You've
Your brain
impacted
is
so
your
many
greatest
people.
competitive
Let's continue
edge,
doing
and
it.
it
Deserves to perform like one. Want to think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer? Just text the word OPTIMIZE to 72000. Optimize to 72000 and get instant access to 6 short, powerful videos, each just 3 to 5 minutes, that reveal simple strategies to unlock mental performance. Because when your brain is clear, your business grows. And Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps your message connect and convert, it's just 4 steps. Engage, persuade, inspire, close with clarity. I use it every day for all my messages. Try it free at epicimpact.ai with code Steve. Change your messages, change your results. Excited to announce Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast was named Top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you all of you, my guest and my audience. You've impacted so many people. Let's continue doing that. Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, or in this case, Doing Nonprofits with a Servant's Heart, because we're going to talk about nonprofit. We're going to talk about kids and parents. Education's so important, isn't it? And I'm your host, Steve Ramona. We want to educate with love, with hope, with positivity. And my guest today does that. He's been doing it for, I think, 30 years. He'll correct me because I always, a host, I get corrected, which is great because I will make mistakes. And we want to learn about that. And if you're a parent out there or you're a kid listening to us, I do have kids, teenagers listening to this podcast. This is going to be a great one for you. So let's bring our guest on. Hey, Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Steve. It's great to be here.
You're so welcome. I want to jump into the books because your mission and purpose for the books is so wonderful. Talk about the books and what that mission is.
Well, 30 years is a 3 decades is a good thing to start with. Probably more like 4 decades, but for the past 30 years, I've been working on families and kids, and we did foster care, and we took teenage boys and that were going to group care. So it's been a life of living and learning how to live with kids that are challenged. And so at some point, people have been saying I should write a book forever. So I finally sat down and put together Deflating Trouble. A big part of my work is externalizing the problem. So you're not the problem, but if you have a problem, it's real, right? And so the books allow people to sit down and externalize that problem, and then team up with their family, with their friends, with their therapists if they choose, and then the books allow them to think about taking on trouble and defeating it.
Now, we talked before the show. What I love about the book, it's for parents and kids, right? They both can learn
Absolutely.
from it. Talk about
Yep.
that.
Well, the color book is Trouble Comes to Town, and I originally designed it for kids to sit down and learn about personal power and how to keep their power, and how if they use aggression to solve their problems, then they actually are giving their power away. It may feel good in that first few moments when you aggress towards somebody, but then you kind of giving your power over to that other person, and they're going to do something, right? And that's out of your control. But so that was the original thought of the color book, is that would happen. But then what happened is grandparents and parents sat down with their kids and started coloring. And at an event, a man came up to me with his 5-year-old son and said, Mike, you need to look at this. And this 5-year-old started telling me about how the trouble monster was trying to do this to these kids. And so this 5-year-old was figuring it all out about how they could all work together to beat the trouble monster. And that was a beautiful thing. And then a grandmother wrote me and talked about how she sat down with her 5 or 6-year-old grandson, and they were having a wonderful time. And the conversations that come out of each page has a little conversation starter. And the conversations that they were having were it just warmed my heart to think that so much could come out of this. So now I'm kind of promoting it for parents to sit down with your kids in color and then see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, conversation is so important because that's what's been missing since COVID, probably before COVID, is our parents talking to the kids? Are they talking, educating them correctly? And just an activity like that is powerful, isn't it?
I think so. I think so. I think we got a little bit, like I said, parents don't want to fail. And so if you're missing something in your parenting, it will come back at you. So it's nice to hopefully people will understand that they can pick up and rebuild anything that they've lost in their parenting style.
I love that you said that because I think most parents, not everyone, but most parents don't become parents to be bad parents, right? And you've learned that over 30 years.
Correct.
That's powerful because I think everybody has a servant's heart, which means a parent with their children. They want to be kind, but unfortunately, life gets in the way,
Right.
and can deflating trouble. Trouble comes in all the time.
Yep. It's around every corner. And I think too, we've worked with a lot of foster kids over the years, and first thing we ask them is, what do you want? And many of them want to go home. And so our job is then to help them get ready to go home. And then their parents also, can step in and start gaining the knowledge they need for their kids to come home. And so, yeah, it's funny how life has just kind of kept putting things in front of me saying, you need to learn about this. You need to learn about this. And getting parents and families together or back together is always been a big part of what we do.
Well, and congratulations to you because you took the action to move forward with that. And if you didn't, it's still not wrong, but you saw that blessing come to you. And for 30 years, it's like, I call it a calling. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, exactly what it is. So let's talk about celebration with family. How important is celebration?
Oh gosh, celebration. Well, we like to celebrate families. We like to bring them together and celebrate them, because people that step up and want to do this work should be celebrated. I mean, being out there, sometimes if you're having challenges with your children, you can feel very lonely. Sometimes systems just don't provide what you need. And so if a parent steps up and wants to learn and gain the skills to deal with their challenging kids, that's the celebration we love. And if I can bring them together and feed them and take care of their kids and let them have some time, and it's a beautiful thing.
Does celebration also help awareness that there are problems, that there are situations that need to be handled? That's probably the wrong word, but it's the one that comes to my head.
You got to deal with it. That's for
Deal with
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when people come together in fellowship or in our conferences and hanging out with other people that are going through the same stuff. I mean, there's that common saying that they didn't write a manual on how to be a parent for your kid or whatever. And so, yeah, it's bringing people together is probably the best thing we can do. And COVID certainly put a big wrench in that. And I think now we're slowly but surely people are recognizing the need that they need to get out from the behind in front of the TV and be out with people.
And that's an important distinction, audience. What Mike is brilliant, what you just said, because it taught us it was that, oh my God, we're isolated. We don't like this as humans. But to embrace it is still, we're 2025. It's been 5 years, and slowly, but too slow in my eyes, and I can't control that. But I love that you said that. So with family, connection's really important. How do you help with the connecting?
I think you need to ask that question differently. How do I help with connecting?
So how do you, so between families and their children,
Oh, sure.
that connection, which is
All
so
right.
vital.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that, again, it goes back to the narrative. I'm highly influenced by the story you have in your head is how you live your life. And as a parent, you have a story about how you're supposed to parent, right? And as a kid, you have a story about your life and how that's supposed to work. And when the parent's story in their head isn't working, and the kids then they're fighting back or they're resisting or they're somehow challenged because to get the parent to start thinking about that, right, about what story do they need in order to work with their child. That's what we can teach them. We can help them create a narrative that works, because, like, many of us have been doing this for decades, right, working with really challenging kids. And then same with the kids, is training them to have the skills, the social skills, the emotional control, and a part of what we do too is we look at moral reasoning. How do you justify being mean to somebody else? How do you justify teasing or hurting somebody else? What is going on in your mind that says this is what I need to do right now? Because everything we do comes from our brain, right? Everything comes out of our mouth is what we were thinking about saying, and we said it. That was a choice that we made. So my biggest thing is helping people find a story that works better for them, um, and let them know too that we talk about in the books trouble monsters, right? Identifying, even as adults, we have our troubles, our problems. And so if we can take a look at the problem and ask ourselves, what does this problem need to stay alive? What does this problem need me to do? How does the problem need me to act in order to still have power in my life? And then what can I do to not feed the problem?
Yeah, no, it's great because I think especially with kids, stories are huge. I remember as a kid, I've got stories you probably do, Mike, that I probably tell all the time. I went to a football game with my dad, or I did this, and you're using that with your book and educate. It's so wonderful.
Thank you.
But with the story, the voice of the kids, I think their voices have been pushed aside a little bit, maybe a lot. I'm not into this, better than I would. How important is that?
Well, I have to say that I've had the pleasure of having my grandkids around a lot, and to watch them deal with all that's going on in the world and the sadness, the relationships that are issues at school, and all of this stuff. And then to come out the other end, they're all driving cars now. With they're healthy. They're okay. Even, you worried about them. How are they going to deal with all this stuff? Uh, but over time, if you keep feeding them the right information, and let them know, I think self-efficacy is
Mm.
is a big piece of it, in that helping kids feel capable, and that if they get in a bad spot, that they will be able to figure it out. And certainly over the years, if they can't, they certainly have a lot of people to come to in their family, and and they have good relationships with their teachers at school, and there's somebody to talk to.
Yeah, and it builds that relationship with their parents, because that's always the problem. I'm not going to tell my parents, oh my God, I'm going to get, I forget, I'm not a kid anymore. What's it when you can't go back? You get in trouble and they put you in, not a timeout, but I can't think of the word right.
Some sort of consequence.
Yeah, some sort of, thank you. See, you're an expert. See, audience, I love when they correct the host like this. I need to learn, because this is wonderful stuff. Well, where does school come in? Because that's when the kids are separated from the parents. And we're seeing a lot of things happen. I told you before the show, things here in Northern California that have happened. How do you help with that, navigating that?
Well, I think too that they're all schools are filled with adults that have a story about how they're supposed to react to all this stuff. And I think a lot of schools are doing a lot of training and stuff for active shooters and all this stuff. But boy, all we had to worry about was nuclear bombs, right? But and the fact that we'd have a few minutes of warning. But the kids today, I am glad that my grandkids are surviving their childhoods, and but again, we live in a world that's scary, but at the same time, we still have to live. We have to be with our people and get out and experience life and enjoy the planet that we have. And so I'm sorry, what was your question again?
No, you answered it, and I love it. I want to dive into the fact that when you're helping kids now, like your grandkids who are younger, there are less problems as adults, because a lot of adults' problems are, especially now, what happened in the future, this happened, and it comes back to bite them. It's probably the wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
That's right.
Come back to get them. And that's what you're doing, is building this great foundation for these kids so they have less problems as adults.
If you have, sometimes I think about life for some kids is like they're trying to catch a train that's rolling down the tracks, and they're running alongside the train, right? And they're running into bushes and all kinds of rocks and stumbling, and so if we can get a hold of them and get them on the train wherever they're at in their life, right, and start where they're at and start growing from there, then they move down the tracks and life is much smoother. So again, how do we do that? First of all, we gotta get in front of the kids. Somebody has to get in front of the kids. And I like to think that parents are the best therapists if they have the skill. So if we can teach parents how they can be with their kids in a way that, and parents aren't perfect, right? So when you make a mistake, own it. And when you're angry, own it, just as long as nobody gets hurt, right? Be honest with your kids. If you don't know what to do, you don't know what to do. It's okay to say, I'm going to have to do some research here because I'm not quite sure how to do this. A lot of the families that we've worked with, their kids get in trouble with the law. And the way the world is right now, prosecutors aren't prosecuting as much. And so the police just don't arrest kids anymore. So if a parent has a kid that's home and that's being aggressive and assaultive, what can they do? It's a real challenge for families out there right now. So we got to get them when they're young. If you can start working with a 4 and 5-year-old about how to be in the world without using aggression to solve your problems, away we go. Okay.
That's the key.
And how do bullies continue being bullies? Is because it works for them, right? Until somebody intervenes with that bully in a way that's helpful. And that's kind of what we do too, is kids that we often meet are in trouble, and we can work with them.
Yeah.
How we do it.
Oh, you're great. Oh, this is fantastic. We got a few minutes, but what's brought this passion to help kids for you?
What has brought it for me?
Yeah. Well, why are you so I mean, you could tell talking about it, you're so passionate about this.
Thank you. Well, I think My childhood, okay, was accidentally connected to the sports world. In second grade, I got connected with the jocks, I guess you want to say. I had no idea about sports and at that point in my life. And so it turns out I'm really competitive. And 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 I don't like, I'm not a big fan of losing. So I work really hard at winning. And something about that I think has carried into my adult life. I think my wife would agree with me that I like to play, and to me, life is a game, and I want to win at it. And part of for me, winning is turning somebody else, help them get started on turning their life around. Uh, I don't know how else to put it. It's just um, the passion comes from, oh, then having some success in it. Then it's like, oh, this is really rewarding, and so let's keep doing it because it makes me feel good about my life. And I think I want to leave this world a little better than when I found it. So
Impact. It's a big word. It's a word that's missing nowadays, especially with kids and parents. It's just make that impact. And I love what you said earlier about parents. Be humble with your kids. Say you made a mistake. All I would say, a lot of parents I talk to try to be perfect, and there's no human in the world perfect. Parents are going to make mistakes. Kids are going to make mistakes. Steve and Michael make mistakes. It just happens. But
yeah.
how we learn and learn from those mistakes and what's our next step after that mistake, is the
And
important thing.
there's skills for all of that out there in the world. People can just Google social skills, and they can find training out there.
Yeah, there's a ton of information. Or they go to you and your wife doing some great things. What sports did you play?
The normal ones: football, baseball, basketball, track, cross country. Uh, is there anything else?
I think you got them all. And it's funny these days, which is where kids have changed. I know our parents
Yeah.
said it's different world. We all say each generation, but
Sure.
it's amazing how kids, because I'm big in sports and I do eventually want to coach if I can find time, that kids are sticking to one sport now. Where I'm like you, I played football, basketball, baseball, a little soccer, and we play multiple sports. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
That they're doing one sport. I just want kids to play sports. I know here in the Bay Area, Northern California, like football programs are closing because there's not enough kids playing. So they just don't have a team anymore. And I think, would you tell me before we end here, how important is sports for kids' growth?
Um, that's just it. I look back at my life and I'm going, sports have been huge. Coaches that have come across my life, teammates, some teammates who had bad behaviors, and I'm going, ew, I don't want to be like that. And then there was guys that were really good at socializing. I'm going, no, I'm going to pay attention to them. And then of course the competition um, is something I think people tried to get rid of competition in the parenting child's world, and everybody got the trophy kind of thing. And and I think that was a big mistake. I think self-esteem is important, but it's not the most important. I go back to self-efficacy. If people feel capable about being able to meet challenges when they pop up, then they're going to have a much better life. But people that just want to feel good about themselves and everybody else has to praise them all the time, that's not a good life. So
No,
again,
no. And I love that you said that participate. I talk about this all the time too. Life doesn't give you participation trophies. You don't go interview for a job and everybody's like, oh, you're all going to get the job. And no, one job for 100 people, somebody's going to miss out.
yeah, that's interesting too, because I got to talk to my kids as we raised our kids with these knowledges. And of course, I should go back to my wife. She did a lot of the actual interventions with the kids, and she's brilliant, a brilliant parent. So I lucked out. Again, I live a blessed life.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been married over 50 years now, and she's been just a big part of my education. She's trained me well. Okay. And so again, we're getting back to the whole idea that competition doesn't have to be a bad thing. If your reason for competition is healthy, I think there can be unhealthy competition too.
Yeah.
And I think about um, I'm not going to mention any fake sports out there where people just beat each other up as entertainment. But
Yeah. Gotcha drift. Let's end with this before we ask the little improv question I ask is what's a tip you're going to give? I have a lot of parents listening. What's a tip you can give them right now before we leave?
know that you're doing the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, if you're having a challenge, there's information out there in the world for you. Just got to reach out for it. And even AI sometimes can come up with some good ideas. So, but again,
That's
all right.
Very simple. Okay. We've got that restaurant. Me and you are sitting at a table. You've picked a restaurant. Who are the three people that have been influential in your life? But more importantly, as I always say, and you've heard in my shows, what food would you order?
Sure. Well, my wife would be there. Okay. She's been huge in my life. There's a gentleman called Chris Hayes. He is the Washington State QAS, and we've been working together for 20 years, but he's one of my mentors. And he aggression replacement training is a training that I do, one of the trainings, and he's been huge in helping me develop my skills and able to serve others better. And then I want to add Bobby Bridge, Justice Bridge, to the table. She has been a mentor of mine, and when I start thinking of great ideas, she either supports it or helps me understand why that great idea is probably not so great. But so it'd be a wonderful conversation, and I think we'd have Indian food. I think is the food that all those people would enjoy, and I think that's huge.
Well, I'd love to be at that table. I don't eat much Indian food, so I'd like to try new food. That would be great.
There you go. Thanks.
Yeah. See, what a perfect table.
Love to have you there.
Yeah. And God bless you, Mike, for what you're doing and your passion for this. I have a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of parents listen. How can they connect with you to learn more?
Well, they can, our email that you have is mike@familysuccessnorthwest.org. Yeah, or it's NW, not Northwest, but anyway. Amazon has my books, which you just put Mike Canfield in there and it'll pop right up. And let's see. And of course, our website, I think you're going to put that up for people to connect with.
Yep.
And that will get us info@familysuccessnw.org goes to all of our board members. So it's a great group of people, and that'd be wonderful. People want to connect. And if you want us to come to your town and put on a little a one-day conference or something, let us know. We can do that too.
Beautiful. And you've inspired me tremendously. So what I'm going to do for the audience, the first three people that mention the podcast, if you reach out to Mike and mention the podcast, this podcast he was on, I'm going to send you a free book. And if you want Mike's book, I'll send you Mike's book. If not, if you're not a parent like me, I'll send you a different book, but I'm going to send you a gift because he can change your life, as you heard this last 22 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if they reach out, he'll reach out to me and say, hey, so-and-so, mention the podcast and you'll get a book. I've done a couple this week. I love sending them out because we know we've made that impact. And here's the other way to impact is subscribe to the YouTube channel because you get these links to this podcast. Well, I know it's Christmas time. You're going to talk to parents. I know I will because I'll be sharing this link going, I'm struggling with my kids. Anything like that, you go, wait a minute. Hey, I just listen to this Mike Canfield. Let me send you the link and listen to him for 10 minutes. It could absolutely change their life. I think podcasts are a gift in that way where you can impact and make a change. And go ahead and do that. Maybe they get the book. Whatever they do to take the next step, that's not your own control, but just sending that link is. So go ahead and subscribe or any other podcast that resonates with you. Go ahead and do the same thing. And with that being said, me and Mike want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.